Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio, the Sales Professional Network. I am your host, Andre Harrell. This is Blog Talk Radio's first and only show dedicated to the needs of the sales professional. And regardless of the industry that you're in, if you're in the sales business, this channel and show is just for you. We do focus on topics that are relevant to all industries. And the commonality is that we in the sales business, as sales professionals, face similar challenges each and every day. And TSP and the Sales Professional Network sincerely was designed to create a forum where we can discuss these challenges and come up with some solutions and best practices to meet those challenges. Tonight's show is brought to you by AH and Beyond Consulting. That's AH2 and Beyond.com, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. AH and Beyond. Increasing your competency always means increasing your sales results. Tonight's show is really just my thoughts on last night's show, which featured the heading, Why Basic Selling Skills Isn't So Basic. As always, if you listened to last night's show, I want to say thank you so much for returning to get my thoughts on the subject. If you did not hear last night's show, it is in the archive function on Blog Talk Radio, so you can go to my channel and hear that show in its full entirety. I also like to remind you that you can go and listen to our shows that are available on iTunes for free. Let me emphasize that, for free. So if you'd like to go there and download some of our shows, and even last night's show, you can go to iTunes and get those shows and download them for free. Before I get started, I'd like to thank Michael McDonald, the Senior Consultant in Sales and Marketing Training and Development, who I thought did a great job last night addressing what I thought was some fairly difficult questions. I definitely didn't throw him any softball questions because of the idea, when you think about it, talking about the basics of anything, let's face it, is not a sexy topic. And he was tremendous at bringing passion and just real talk to the important subject. So if you haven't listened to last night's show, please go check it out. It really was a good one. There are some things we all learn mechanically, and at an early age that we never forget. And there are two things that stand out in my mind. And the one is learning to ride a bike. And then another one is, or the second one is learning how to drive a car. And many of us probably would like to remove those memories from our mental Rolodex, because it was pretty much the start of each of our personal development processes. When you learn to ride a bike at ages, it was 5, 6, or 7, you started out riding the bike with training wheels, remember? And to help you keep balance and coordination and, quite frankly, gain confidence. And please keep the word confidence in your mental Rolodex, because I'm going to revisit that word a little later in the show. But you practiced over and over again, and you absolutely could not wait till mom and dad got home and had some free time to help you get to the point where you're riding the bike on 2 wheels. Then guess what? In a few weeks, then miraculously, and by the way, it took me a lot longer to get the hang of it, but miraculously, your parents took off the training wheels, and you found your balance, coordination, and importantly, confidence to ride that bike yourself. It was a long process going through that basic development of keeping your balance and gaining coordination. And at the time, it was probably the most important thing that you accomplished in your life, learning the basic concepts of riding a bike. Today, like some of you listening, I have not ridden on a bike in years. And I'm a bit scared because I don't know if I remember how to. and that's the biggest point. Once I get back on that bike, I will have to, for a split second or more, remember how to balance, gather coordination, and gain confidence so I can compete with some of these cyclists who ride around my neighborhood. So picking up a personal mission of mine is big, and that's competing with the cyclists around here. But other example, I gave, the next example I gave was learning to drive a car. And again, that'll probably be something you never forget to do. And if you do not maintain the basic fundamentals of driving a vehicle, it could place you in a life or death situation. And we've all seen and heard drivers, perishing because they simply didn't buckle their seatbelt. A basic fundamental of driving a car. In the sales profession, our credibility, integrity, honesty, reputation, and effectiveness is centered around our ability to communicate through listening, understanding, and comprehending what our customers are really telling us versus what we're trying to tell them. Early on in my sales career, I was taught the basic fundamentals, which included listening, comprehending, probing for opportunities, closing, etc., etc. And I can remember just an example of learning to ride the bike, saying to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. And I worked my butt off, expertising, if that's a word, basic selling skills to the point where my family thought I joined a cult versus a Fortune 100 company because I wanted to be great at selling. Then through the years, and I'm sure most of you can attest to this, I began to develop this hubris, this ego, because I experienced early on wide success, becoming one of the top salespeople in the country. And like most, I stopped considering the basics of selling as a natural and mundane activity. I did. I just thought, the basics, come on. I've learned years on how to implement expertise-wise the basics, and I just think it's a mundane activity. I've been there and done that. I've already mastered it, and I've moved on. I was more interested in obtaining the quote-unquote advanced forms of selling, which today I don't know what that is besides increasing, my competency or your competency of basic selling skills acumen. And we talked about this last night, so I want to avoid being redundant. And if you didn't get that piece of the conversation last night, certainly go back to the archives and listen to last night's show, because we spent a lot of time talking about the various forms of building your basic competency skills versus this whole idea of learning advanced selling skills. So go check that show out last night that we had. But the important point is we all get to a level of competency, or should I say complacency, in our jobs where we lose the mindset of how we go to our level of competency. And as soon as misfortune occurs in our jobs, careers, where things are going south or our performance is deteriorating, we wonder what the hell happened. And the answer is we lost perspective and focus and humility of what got us to a certain level of personal competency, and that is the basics. One of the best statements I've ever heard was from Michael Jordan. I'm sure all of you say, okay, another Michael Jordan story, but hear me out. This is the best thing I've heard from anyone, certainly at his stature. Michael Jordan once said, shooting a great free throw percentage was one of his biggest personal accomplishments. He really said that. He said shooting a great free throw percentage was one of his biggest personal accomplishments. What? What? Shooting free throws? Folks, the deciding factor, and I'll repeat that, the deciding factor of who wins the NBA title this year between the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma Thunder could come down to a pair of free throws. And Jordan got this. The greatest of salesperson or salespeople understand the most important part of fine-tuning your acumen from a sales perspective is consistently fine-tuning your basic selling skill acumen. And if you've ever come across a very successful salesperson, there is a sense of confidence that exudes through their skin. And I'm sure some of you know what I mean. It's not cockiness. It's not ego. And it's not hubris. It's self-assuredness. I mentioned earlier that I would revisit the word confidence. And confidence, in my humble opinion, comes when you understand that doing anything consistently built on learning, development, and repetitiveness leaves no doubt on a positive outcome. If you practice constantly on your listening skills and always learning, developing, and listening repetitively, it becomes you. It becomes part of your fabric where you don't even know you're doing it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's confidence. Stepping up to that free throw line and shooting 2 free throws to win the NBA title becomes second nature to you because you never forgot the importance of focusing on the basics. Tonight's short show was brought to you by AH Square and Beyond Consulting. That's AH2 and Beyond.com, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. AH Square and Beyond. Increasing, again, your competency means increasing your sales results. If you've hit a fork in the road, and I know we're mid-year, and you're probably doing mid-year sales reviews and things like that, and even, I would say, within even the next month or so, you're probably going to be starting to set up your plan for 2013. If you hit a fork in the road, you don't know if you're going to go left or should you go right, and you're struggling to make a decision on what you want your 2013 to look like, call us. Our number is 267-221-8529. We can help give you the best answer to where to turn, whether it's right or left, in building your sales strategies or building a marketing plan for your new product development, especially if you've got launch of new products coming to market. We can help you certainly there. And, of course, if you have a sales team that you want to make sure pull through that message and drive customer business, we can also set up the sales training infrastructure that's global for you, too, as well, so that we can make your 2013 the best ever. So give us a call. The number is 267-221-8529. Again, we're AH Square and Beyond Consulting. We can definitely put you on the right track, if it's not prior for the rest of this year, and getting you set up greatly for a very phenomenal and successful 2013. So give us a call. Again, that's 267-221-8529. Now, next week's show, folks, is June 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. And again, I always reiterate, our shows are every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have somewhat of a special show next week, as it will be set up in a panel discussion with two successful sales professionals centered on the topic, why failure in sales is more important than winning. Again, next week's show is going to be why failure in sales is more important than winning, a topic I've been wanting to talk about for some time. And it should be a very interesting show because I'll have two guests on that I think you'll find have very strong opinions on that topic. And even the title itself, I'm sure it raises a lot of discussion. But join us. Again, that's next Tuesday, June 19th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, as always, I want to remind everybody that the Sales Professional Network can now be accessed on iTunes, so you'll be able to download some of your favorite shows on iTunes. And again, I want to reiterate, it's free. The downloads are free. You don't have to pay anything. So go to iTunes and just put in the search engine, the Sales Professional Network, and you can download some of our favorite shows and really, I would say, get you on the right track to a successful sales career. We talk about a lot of subjects that, quite frankly, are not heard, are not basically brought to the attention on the internet or even in the corporate America. So go check us out. And of course, you can visit us on Blog Talk Radio on our site, Sales Professional Network, where you can check out our archive shows on Blog Talk Radio too as well. So now you have two venues to follow, either iTunes or Blog Talk Radio, to pick up our shows. And as I almost reiterate, going into the friends point of this, certainly tell your friends about our network, the Sales Professional Network, your coworkers, constituents, anyone who's interested in the sales business. If you are in the sales business or you're thinking about getting in the sales business, check us out. This show and channel is just for you. We do talk about topics that you don't normally hear about on the internet or even in corporate America, and they're the big pink elephant in the corner. And we bring it to the forefront and talk about it and come up with some solutions. And it's a great show. We have great guests. And, of course, sometimes, as tonight, you can get my afterthoughts on the following show subject. So, as I always say, the best part of marketing is word of mouth. So if you have listened to our show and you love our show, please follow us. And if you followed us, please share the show with your friends. Because, again, best marketing is the good word. And we try to do the best we can in helping you out as a sales professional. And you know what? Even if you're not a sales professional, we do talk about topics that can relate to anyone who's not even in the sales business. As I say, sales business and the sales mimics life in some aspects. So I want to say thank you to everybody. If you came back and you listened to last night's show and you came back to hear my thoughts, I want to say thank you for coming back and getting my thoughts this evening. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for visiting us tonight and listening to us, and we hope you got a lot out of it. And, of course, as I want to reiterate, going back to the basics and constantly improving your basic selling skills acumen will make you successful from now until the end of your sales career. Viva the basics. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.